All right, well, welcome back to Exhaust Sports Auto. My name is Kevin, and you are here to witness the 2003 Toyota 4Runner Limited. So who do we have to thank for this opportunity? It is none other than Cary Imports. And yes, this vehicle does have, as near as makes no difference, 350,000 miles, or about 344,000 miles. And if you want to purchase this vehicle, like I mentioned, it is located at Cary Imports for about $7,000. So there you go if you want to pick it up. And with nearly 350,000 miles, it's still demanding $7,000. And after all these miles, it still feels solid. So let's go ahead, let's get this thing out of the road here. Surprisingly good thrust after all these years. And another reason why I really want to check out this particular model is because this actually has a 4.7 liter V8 engine. For 2003, the 4Runner got redesigned, okay? This is the first model year of this generation. You know, they kind of brought it into the 21st century, if you will. Like, there's not a single generation of the 4Runner that doesn't look cool or looks kind of dorky. No, that does not exist. They all look very badass. So I like this one. What Toyota tried to do with this is they tried to maintain its four-wheel drive kind of off-road capabilities, right? But they try to inject a little bit more refinement into it. And because of that, this vehicle weighs about 350 pounds more on average compared to the previous generation 4Runners, okay? But the main thing is, okay, I'm not a 4Runner freak, so I had no idea that the 4Runners even came with a V8. Okay, so I just thought that was very interesting. I just had to check it out. Now, there were still two engine options available for these vehicles, okay? The first engine option, for the first time ever, an aluminum block motor was used in the 4Runners, okay? That's the 4-liter V6 engine. That thing produced about 245 horsepower and 283 pounds-feet of torque. Now, this is the V8, but it actually produces 235 horsepower, so 10 less horsepower than the V6, which is kind of stupid in my opinion, but whatever, it is what it is. But it produces 320 pounds-feet of torque. This particular model weighs about 4,450 pounds, and it is equipped with four-wheel drive, but you could get these vehicles with rear-wheel drive if you wanted to. And this 4.7 liter V8, you know, it's pretty classic I-Force engine. It is still a cast iron block motor, so one of the most reliable engines ever made by Toyota, so that's a great thing. And obviously, I like this because it's going to be a nice, smooth experience. It's going to sound good. You can have some fun with it. You could cut the mufflers off if you want to, you know, bust a move in it, right? And you know what? It has very smooth power delivery for sure. And that's the main highlight here. That's what I really wanted to check out here. So let's go ahead and let's transition over into this drive now, shall we? Okay, so like I mentioned, with this vehicle, they tried to go for a more refined approach with the 4Runner, okay? Because this is not a cheap vehicle, okay? This is like a $40,000 car when it was new, so you're getting it at a $33,000 discount. Great. And these things started at about $26,000 for the SR5 model. And then there was a middle trim, the SR5 Sport, which was about $33,000. And there's something interesting to note about the suspension on these vehicles. There was something called a X-relative absorber or something like that, like X-Reese is the short form for it. I'll put up a little picture here so you can read about it. You can understand it a little bit better instead of me just explaining it. But basically what it does is it makes the 4Runner handle a lot better, really reduces the body roll with these cars. And this system, okay, came standard with the mid-trim sport models. Okay, with the limited trims like you see here, that system was optional, okay? And I don't really think this vehicle has it because, you know, handling not really its forte, but I'll test a little bit more of that later. But good thing is, well, it's not fast, but it's just smooth power and it builds it nice and progressively. But is it fast? Absolutely absolutely not. It's definitely acceptable, no problems there. But once you get it to like 60 miles an hour, it really doesn't want to pull much harder than that, that's for sure. Brakes, you do have to get in on them a little bit more than I would like, but yeah, I kind of expected that with a vehicle like this of its size, right? Steering does track straight, which is a great thing, of course. And another thing, you actually do get a leather-wrapped steering wheel with the Sport and Limited trims, but I'll talk more about that stuff in the interior segment, of course. And this is the 4-wheel drive model, so with the V8 models, you get full-time 4-wheel drive. With the V6 models, it's like a partial 4-wheel drive system. It's not always working, basically. I will say ride quality on this, over the roughest of bumps, like over like the little gutters and stuff like that, little potholes, you definitely feel it for sure. But over like 90% of like normal roads, it actually feels fine. But you can definitely hear it. It's, you know, it's still an earlier generation of these body on frame cars, right? So it's not going to be as smooth as like a Highlander, let's say. But you buy this because it's cool. You buy this because, you know, you can put little off-road tires on it, like how this vehicle has here, some Achilles. What the hell are these things called? I forgot, but it's like some Achilles tires, 17-inch wheels. The base wheel option is like a 16-inch wheel. I think it's about 265 wide tires in all 4 corners. Five-speed automatic. It does shift smoothly, so I don't really have an issue with that. Downshifts, upshifts, all that stuff. There's hardly really any lag with it. That's not really an issue. It's just not that quick because it's coefficient of drag not really the best. It's just a big old box, basically, big old brick. Okay, gonna test out some of this handling here real quick. We have here. Okay. Yeah, definitely the at-limit handling of this, like I mentioned, with off-road tires on it. I mean, that's not really what it's built to do. That's not what you're going to do with it. You just want to look cool in it. And yeah, it's cool to just leisurely drive this thing around on the street, like most of these Toyota truck products, because you know you're driving this apocalypse machine basically that's never going to die. So that's a cool mental thing with the vehicle. And the other thing is, as fun as that is, you're going to be getting like 15 city, 19 on the highway, all right? That's the MPG numbers that's quoted for this car. And yeah, you can put regular fuel in it, but yeah, the MPG not that great. It's like a 23-gallon fuel tank, so not that large of a tank either. So expect to fill this thing up a little bit, but I think you get the point. It's a rather lethargic vehicle, you know. It's still easy to place out on the road because it's actually not that big, despite it being a, you know, SUV, right? It's only like 187 inches long. A lot of these SUVs aren't massive, so it is quite easy to place out on the road. It doesn't even feel like you're sitting that much higher off the road. So, you know, it's an easy car to drive. There's no problems there. But let's kind of wrap it up here. I think you get the point. It's a cool car. It's surprisingly smooth. It's actually very quiet, even with these off-road tires and with the wind noise as well. There's no double pane glass or anything like that, but this car is very quiet. So their refinement changes have genuinely worked, which is a great thing, of course. But if you're looking for like pure opulence and softness, this is not that. And the 4Runner people know this, especially with these earlier generation body on frame vehicles. You're just not going to get that plush ride. So if that's what you're looking for, maybe look into like a Highlander or something like that. But you buy this because it looks badass. You know it's never going to die. And this entire drive was done on a model with 350,000 miles, and it, you know, it still feels like a relatively new-ish car to drive. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing like super unrefined about it, but the vehicle pulls smooth, and there's no issues with the transmission. You know, I was reading up on it. Really, there's nothing to break on this car. You might have to replace a starter on it, and some people have said that with higher mileage 4Runners, you could experience some slipping of the transmission. But honestly, this 5-speed shifts perfectly well. Downshifts, upshifts, no problems there. It's very smooth, so I don't have an issue with that either. The equivalent of like a Jeep Wrangler, but made by Toyota, and it's actually reliable, and you can actually keep it out on the road a little bit longer, right? That's the cool thing about these 4Runners, and this one in particular has just not been completely rusted out. So that's another great advantage to this particular 4Runner. Now let's go ahead and let's transition over into this interior segment. Okay, so interior. So it's one of the first things I noticed with this car. Opening and closing the door, it still feels solid till this day. It's a completely plastic interior in here, but it's still remains nice and solid. It's just been baking out in the sun, and it's still not really creaking and rattling in here. I'm very impressed with this. There's some superficial things wrong with it, like the exterior paint, like some of the tears and wrinkles with the seats here, and some wear around the door handle area. But for the most part, dude, nobody can argue with the solidity of this cabin space. Some wear on the interior is totally acceptable with 350,000 miles and all these years later, right? So no issues there. Everything works on this car, not just mechanically, but also there's no stupid check engine lights. The AC is cold. The little JBL audio system, that still works in here, and that's what this vehicle has, is the JBL audio. But surprisingly, unlike the new JBL audios, this is not super bass heavy, which is interesting. It actually kind of lacks some bass, so there's that. But yeah, no infotainment obviously, but you could put an aftermarket one in here, but I wouldn't really bother. Who cares? Got your little 4-wheel drive controls right here, right? You can actually fold down the rear glass in this vehicle, which is a trait of a lot of these Toyota truck products like the Tundras. You can fold down the entire rear glass of it, so that's pretty cool. If you have a pet back there, you want to give the dog some air or something like that, right? So that's actually a brilliant design, and you can actually fit some larger items, maybe some lumber if you find any at a discount, if you get what I'm saying. But yeah, everything works. It's actually a very practical space in here, like you would expect. Big cup holders, plenty of space in the armrest. It's even got heated seats. That still works. One touch auto windows just for the driver's side window, not for the other 3 windows, but whatever. And like I mentioned, it's not double pane glass. Doesn't really matter. You do have some steering wheel controls right here for the volume and track selection, all that good stuff. And that's something you got in the Sport model as well, I believe. Gauges are super simple. Seats, despite it being a little bit torn up, it's very comfortable in here. You do have a sunroof as well. The rear seats, okay, so this is kind of where the drawbacks of a body-on-frame vehicle kind of continue. So, okay, you have a little step ladder to get in and out of this vehicle. Again, not as easy to get in and out of like a Highlander. Again, you don't buy this for pure practicality. You buy it because it's cool, again, like I mentioned, and you know what you're getting here. But one of the things I don't like is when you jump into the rear, okay, if you're an adult, right, you got your knees sitting all up high essentially, right, in the back seats, and there's not a plethora of space back there. It's only a 2-row vehicle. Headroom is obviously not an issue. You can be a giraffe, but legroom, I'm 5'11". There's enough space back there, it's okay. But the good thing is you can actually fold down the rear seats completely flat, which is cool. But if you do fold down the rear seats, you can't actually sit anybody there because of the way the bottom piece of the seat folds out, if you want to fold it down flat anyway. But yeah, trunk space is great, so you can absolutely fit everything you need to, and the load floor is going to be a little bit higher again. So it's just a few compromises you have to make there, but for the most part, again, people looking into this, you don't even need a review on this car, really. You probably already own one and you're just watching this for entertainment's sake, and for that, well, good for you, because you got yourself a nice solid machine here. I will mention one other ergonomic thing. Okay, this steering wheel, it could come up a little bit higher. It's fine for me at 5'11", but for taller drivers, you might want to have this steering wheel come up a little bit further, but it doesn't, so something to keep in mind. But for the most part, it's not a big deal. Everything's functional. It's a very timeless car. You can buy any generation of the 4Runner and it's gonna be like this basically. They all just work, they all age well, they are all really nicely designed. I love the exterior. You can really mod these things up, instead of going with like a Jeep Wrangler or something like that, you can get something like this and you don't have the sensation that's going to tip over on itself. No, it's not a Porsche 911, but it still handles fine for what it is. So high-speed stability is good, all that good stuff. I don't mind putting a kid in here, honestly. It drives just fine. So there you go. That's my review on the 4Runner. If you want to pick it up for $7,000, it's located here at Cary Imports. So thanks again for watching. Take care and goodbye.